black worker mocked in front of everyone, but he was the real billionaire behind the project. In the polished silence of a Chicago boardroom, Richard Manning's $800 million empire faces its greatest crisis when a crucial negotiation with German partners collides with his complete dependence on others for the linguistic skills that make international business possible. With his usual translator hospitalized and millions of dollars hanging in the balance, panic strips away the confident facade to reveal how thoroughly his global success has relied on capabilities he never bothered to develop or truly appreciate. Sometimes the most profound discoveries about talent and human worth emerge not from boardrooms or executive suites, but from the quiet competence of those who work around us daily while remaining invisible, their extraordinary abilities hidden behind assumptions we never thought to question. Richard Manning stood frozen in his corner office overlooking downtown Chicago, watching German executives emerge from black Mercedes sedans 40 floors below, while his usual confidence crumbled into desperate panic. At 52, his manufacturing empire was worth $800 million, built through strategic partnerships with European companies whose technical expertise had elevated his operations from regional supplier to global competitor in precision engineering. Tonight's emergency meeting with Muller Industries represented the culmination of 18 months of negotiations for a joint venture that would revolutionize automotive manufacturing. Yet his German translator had suffered a stroke that morning, leaving him facing the most important business discussion of his career without the linguistic bridge that had made his international success possible. The irony wasn't lost on him that someone who prided himself on strategic thinking had failed to develop contingency plans for communication barriers that could destroy deals worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The Muller delegation represented old-world engineering excellence combined with cutting-edge innovation that Richard's company desperately needed to compete with Asian manufacturers who had dominated cost efficiency, while European partners offered technological sophistication that could differentiate his products in increasingly competitive markets. Wilhelm Muller, the patriarch of the German company, spoke minimal English despite decades of international business, preferring to conduct serious negotiations in his native language to ensure precision and cultural nuance that technical discussions required. His son Klaus and daughter Ingrid flanked him with the kind of formal dignity that characterized German business culture, their expectations for professional competence extending to proper translation services that honored their language while facilitating complex technical discussions about manufacturing processes, quality standards, and regulatory compliance that required exact terminology and cultural understanding. Richard's assistant had called every translation service in 3 states without finding anyone available at such short notice who possessed both German fluency and technical knowledge of precision manufacturing that tonight's discussions would require. The specialized vocabulary of automotive engineering, metallurgy, and quality control systems demanded more than basic language skills. It required someone who understood both languages and the complex technical concepts that would determine whether this partnership could succeed or would fail due to miscommunication about critical specifications and performance requirements. Each passing minute brought the German delegation closer to his conference room, while Richard faced the humiliating prospect of postponing negotiations that had been scheduled for months, potentially insulting partners whose cultural values emphasized punctuality, preparation, and professional competence above all other business considerations. Are you enjoying these real stories? Then subscribe to our channel now, since 95% of the people who watch our videos are not subscribed. Subscribe now, it's completely free. The stakes extended far beyond personal embarrassment to encompass his company's entire strategic future, as the automotive industry's rapid evolution toward electric vehicles and autonomous systems required technological partnerships that his domestic operations couldn't develop independently. Muller Industries possessed patents and manufacturing capabilities that could transform Richard's company from traditional parts supplier into advanced technology partner. Yet this opportunity would evaporate if cultural insensitivity or communication failures damaged relationships that had taken years to cultivate through careful attention to German business protocols and respect for their engineering traditions. The panic that now consumed him revealed how completely his global ambitions had depended on other people's skills, while he had claimed credit for international relationships that his translators had actually built and maintained through their linguistic expertise and cultural knowledge. Richard's executive team gathered in the conference room with expressions that mirrored his own barely concealed panic, their usual confidence replaced by recognition that their collective MBA degrees and business experience couldn't overcome the fundamental barrier of language that separated them from partners whose cooperation was essential for their company's continued growth and competitive positioning. Vice President Sarah Chun suggested attempting the meeting in English with basic translation apps, while CFO Michael Torres proposed delaying the negotiations until proper translation services could be arranged. Yet both options carried risks that could destroy relationships Richard had spent years developing through careful attention to German cultural preferences and business protocols that demanded respect for their language and communication styles. The German delegation's arrival was announced with characteristic punctuality that emphasized their cultural values around timeliness and professional preparation. Their formal greetings conducted in precise English that was functional but clearly uncomfortable for discussions requiring technical precision and nuanced negotiation about complex manufacturing processes and quality standards. Wilhelm Muller's polite inquiries about translation arrangements carried subtle tension that suggested awareness of communication challenges, while maintaining diplomatic courtesy that barely concealed growing concern about American partners who seemed unprepared for serious business discussions that required linguistic competence and cultural sensitivity to succeed effectively. Richard's attempts to explain the translator crisis were met with polite understanding that couldn't mask the German delegation's disappointment and growing skepticism about partners whose business practices seemed inadequately prepared for international negotiations requiring precision and cultural competence. The technical drawings and specifications they had brought for discussion remained in their briefcases as conversations stalled over basic terminology and concepts that required exact translation to prevent misunderstandings that could lead to costly errors in manufacturing processes and quality control systems that demanded absolute precision to meet automotive industry standards and regulatory requirements. The conference room atmosphere grew increasingly strained as Richard realized that his reputation for international business competence was crumbling before partners whose respect and cooperation were essential for his company's strategic future, yet whose language and cultural requirements he had somehow failed to anticipate adequately despite months of careful planning for every other aspect of tonight's negotiations. The meeting that should have cemented his legacy as visionary leader was instead revealing fundamental gaps in his preparation and cultural understanding that threatened to destroy relationships his company couldn't afford to lose in an increasingly competitive global marketplace that demanded authentic partnership rather than superficial accommodation. James Washington entered the conference room with quiet efficiency that characterized his evening cleaning routine, his presence barely registering with executives whose attention remained focused on their communication crisis and the growing awkwardness of attempting technical discussions without adequate translation capabilities. At 47, James had maintained Richard's building for 8 years with dignity that transcended his custodial role, his work performed with meticulous attention to detail that reflected personal standards of excellence rather than mere job requirements. His movements through the space were practiced and unobtrusive, yet something about the German conversation caught his attention in ways that would soon transform everyone's understanding of capability, assumption, and the hidden talents that existed within their own organization while remaining completely unrecognized and underutilized. The sound of fluent German emerging from James's direction created a moment of stunned silence that seemed to suspend reality as Richard's executives processed the impossible sight of their building's janitor engaging Wilhelm Muller in sophisticated conversation about technical specifications and manufacturing processes that had stymied their previous attempts at communication. James's German was not only fluent, but demonstrated cultural nuance and technical vocabulary that revealed deep understanding of both language and engineering concepts that the German delegation required for serious business discussion. His pronunciation was precise, his grammar flawless, his cultural sensitivity evident in formal address patterns that honored German business protocol, while facilitating exactly the kind of detailed technical exchange that tonight's negotiations demanded. Wilhelm Muller's immediate positive response to James's linguistic competence and cultural awareness created a bridge between German and American teams that had been impossible moments earlier, when communication barriers threatened to derail negotiations that both sides had invested enormous time and resources to arrange. Klaus and Ingrid Muller engaged James in rapid technical discussions about precision tolerances, quality control systems, and manufacturing processes that revealed his comprehensive understanding of automotive engineering that extended far beyond basic translation to encompass genuine expertise in subjects that were central to tonight's business negotiations and partnership discussions. Richard watched in growing amazement as James facilitated conversations between German engineers and his own technical staff with translation that was both linguistically accurate and technically sophisticated, enabling detailed discussions about manufacturing specifications, quality standards, and regulatory compliance that had been impossible without proper linguistic bridge between different technical traditions and engineering approaches. The custodian he had barely noticed for 8 years was demonstrating capabilities that could save tonight's negotiations while revealing depths of knowledge and cultural competence that challenged every assumption about education, opportunity, and the distribution of valuable skills within organizations that often overlooked exceptional individuals whose backgrounds didn't match traditional expectations. James's background emerged through conversation that revealed educational and professional experiences that contradicted every assumption Richard had made about custodial staff and the factors that determined where people ended up in organizational hierarchies despite their actual qualifications and capabilities. His mechanical engineering degree from Technical University of Berlin had been earned during 8 years of study and work in Germany, where he had gained both linguistic fluency and technical expertise in precision manufacturing that directly applied to tonight's negotiations and partnership discussions. Immigration challenges and credential recognition barriers had prevented him from finding engineering positions that matched his qualifications, leading to custodial work that provided income, while he pursued American certification processes that were expensive, time-consuming, and complicated by bureaucratic requirements that often excluded qualified immigrants from professional opportunities. The German delegation's respect for James's technical knowledge and cultural understanding transformed their entire approach to tonight's negotiations, their confidence in communication enabling detailed discussions about manufacturing processes, quality standards, and technological innovations that had been impossible without adequate translation and cultural bridge between different engineering traditions. Wilhelm Muller specifically requested that James continue facilitating their discussions, recognizing someone whose linguistic and technical competence enhanced rather than merely enabled their business conversations about complex manufacturing partnerships that required precise understanding of specifications, regulatory requirements, and quality control systems that demanded exact terminology and cultural sensitivity. Richard's team watched in humbled silence as James demonstrated engineering knowledge that complemented his translation services, his questions and clarifications revealing understanding of manufacturing processes and technical specifications that enhanced the quality of discussions between German and American engineers. His contributions extended beyond translation to encompass substantive technical insights that improved both sides' understanding of manufacturing challenges, quality requirements, and innovation opportunities that their partnership could address through combining German engineering excellence with American manufacturing efficiency and market access that each partner brought to their potential collaboration. The negotiations that had seemed impossible an hour earlier proceeded smoothly under James's facilitation, his linguistic competence and technical knowledge enabling detailed agreements about manufacturing specifications, quality standards, and partnership structures that satisfied both German precision requirements and American business objectives. Richard found himself learning not just about German business culture, but about manufacturing processes and engineering approaches that his own technical staff hadn't fully understood. Their education enhanced by James's ability to explain complex concepts in ways that bridged linguistic and technical barriers, while facilitating genuine collaboration between teams whose different backgrounds and experiences created complementary strengths. The successful completion of negotiations that had seemed doomed hours earlier created an atmosphere of celebration and mutual respect that extended beyond business achievement to encompass recognition of James's extraordinary contribution to partnership that would transform both companies' competitive positions and strategic capabilities. Wilhelm Muller's personal thanks to James included invitation to visit their German facilities as technical consultant, recognizing someone whose linguistic and engineering competence could enhance ongoing collaboration between American and German teams whose different approaches to manufacturing and quality control could create innovative solutions to automotive industry challenges. Richard's immediate offer of a position as Director of International Technical Relations reflected recognition that James's unique combination of linguistic fluency, technical expertise, and cultural competence was exactly what his company needed for continued global expansion and partnership development with European manufacturers whose cooperation was essential for competitive positioning in rapidly evolving automotive markets. The salary and responsibilities represented life-changing opportunity that honored James's demonstrated capabilities while providing platform for professional growth that matched his qualifications and experience rather than limiting him to roles that failed to utilize his exceptional skills and knowledge. James's acceptance of the promotion was accompanied by recommendations for other qualified immigrants and underutilized professionals whose skills could enhance the company's capabilities if given opportunities that matched their actual qualifications rather than their current circumstances or social positions. His insights about credential recognition barriers, cultural competence requirements, and the untapped talent that existed within diverse communities led to recruitment and development programs that identified exceptional individuals whose backgrounds might not match traditional hiring patterns, but whose capabilities could contribute significantly to organizational success and innovation. The partnership with Muller Industries flourished under James's ongoing facilitation, his linguistic and technical expertise enabling collaborations that generated innovative manufacturing solutions and quality improvements that enhanced both companies' competitive positions while creating sustainable business relationships built on mutual respect and cultural understanding. The joint venture that had seemed impossible became foundation for additional partnerships that established Richard's company as leader in precision manufacturing while demonstrating benefits of inclusive excellence that recognized talent wherever it appeared and created opportunities for exceptional individuals to contribute their full capabilities. This incredible transformation from communication crisis to international success shows us that the most valuable assets in any organization might be the people we see every day but never truly recognize. If you believe in the power of discovering hidden talents and creating opportunities for exceptional individuals regardless of their current roles, hit that subscribe button and share this story with someone who needs to remember that expertise often exists in unexpected places, waiting only for recognition and opportunity. 2 years later, James had become Richard's most trusted advisor for international business development. His linguistic abilities and cultural knowledge opening doors to partnerships across Europe and other international markets that had been inaccessible when the company relied solely on traditional business networks and conventional hiring practices that overlooked qualified individuals whose backgrounds didn't match expected patterns. The technical innovations that emerged from international collaborations under James's facilitation had generated dozens of patents and licensing agreements that created new revenue streams while establishing the company's reputation for engineering excellence that combined global perspectives with local expertise. The mentorship program James had developed created pathways for other immigrants and multilingual professionals to contribute their expertise to American businesses that needed global capabilities but had previously overlooked talent that existed within their own communities and organizations. His success had inspired other companies to examine their workforce for hidden capabilities and untapped expertise that could enhance their competitive positioning while creating opportunities for exceptional individuals whose qualifications had been undervalued by systems that confused credentials with capability and familiarity with competence. Richard's transformation from panic-stricken CEO to inclusive leader had influenced industry practices around talent recognition, cultural competence, and international business development that prioritized authentic partnership over superficial accommodation. His public speaking about the experience had encouraged other executives to examine their own assumptions about where expertise resided and how organizations could access the full spectrum of human capability rather than limiting themselves to traditional talent pipelines that excluded many of the most qualified and culturally competent individuals. Most importantly, the story of James's recognition and advancement had become a powerful example of possibilities that existed when leaders had courage to acknowledge their own limitations while creating opportunities for exceptional individuals whose talents had been overlooked by conventional systems that failed to recognize the value of diverse backgrounds, multilingual capabilities, and cross-cultural competence that global business increasingly required for sustainable success and authentic international partnership. Richard and James's partnership became testament to the extraordinary potential that exists within every organization, waiting only for leaders with the wisdom to look beyond surface roles and the courage to recognize excellence wherever it appears. Their story reminds us that the next breakthrough, the crucial partnership, the game-changing solution might be carried by someone whose capabilities we walk past every day without recognition. In a world that often confuses position with potential and credentials with competence, what remarkable transformations await when we finally learn to see the full spectrum of human talent that surrounds us, ready to contribute if only given the opportunity to shine?